I feel like the law of assumption community was a safe haven for a lot of people, especially people coming from law of attraction. You know, when people think of law of attraction nowadays, they think of like limiting beliefs. There's so many methods, so many different people telling you to do all this different stuff. They talk about vibration and energy and co-creating with the universe, and a lot of people don't like that, and that's fine. I think that opinion is valid. Obviously, a lot of people feel that way for a reason. People do themselves a disservice when they don't listen to people just because of the way that they've labeled themselves. Love Neville Goddard. I read a lot of Vadim Seeland, Frederick E. Dodson. I even read some Abraham Hicks. So it's like some law of assumption, some law of attraction, but then it's like, if you really get into it, and a lot of people don't like to, which is fine, but I came from a more spiritual background. And so those kind of the law of attraction terminology doesn't bother me as much. What does bother me is when people start to bring their limiting beliefs in, and when people are confusing for no other reason than that they need content to make. And it's really hard for people, especially coming into it brand new, to know what to latch onto because there is so much information. There's not enough people meeting people where they are. And I want to be that person for whoever needs that, because I know that there have been so many times where I wished for that. And I have found a few people in this community that are that way, but I feel like it's kind of few and far in between to find somebody who's really limitless. And it's hard to know, what does that even mean? Like, what does actually being limitless mean? I'll go into a whole nother video about that and my thoughts on limitless manifestation, co-creation, all that stuff, and law of attraction versus law of assumption, because I think it does need to be talked about. A lot of people don't really want to go into it. They're just like, okay, well, that's not for me, just disregard it. But like I said, that sometimes does you a disservice, because sometimes people have things that are valuable that you can take from them, but what people need to learn is discernment. So you can listen to other people say things, and maybe they'll say something you don't agree with, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to disregard everything they say, right? That's how you grow. Obviously, that's how you continue to evolve, is the way that I see it. After that preface and disclaimer, what I actually want to talk about today is that manifestation is actually really, really fucking easy. People make it out to be something that it doesn't really have to be, and that's for a lot of reasons. People come from different perspectives and different backgrounds, different laws, which really all spiritual laws are, they're all in effect. They work together. Study that if you really want to. That is what makes me feel good. I'm curious and I like to learn and I like to play around with things, and that's what makes me feel good and makes me feel like my manifestation is effortless. Now, if that's not what makes you feel good, then that's not what you should do, no matter who's telling you to do what. There are so many different coaches who teach different techniques, who have different philosophies and ways of thinking about things, different ideologies. And my biggest advice to you is what everybody's telling you is just from their own personal experience and things that they've heard other people say, and then they've tried themselves and they're able to give you their take on it. Everybody puts their own spin on things, right? But if you go back to very just cut and dry, black and white text, sometimes that's what you really need to help you stop wavering. Even though it seems like a trendy thing now, a lot of people are starting to talk about it. People are a lot more open about talking about these kinds of things. This is not new. And there's plenty of texts, plenty of books that will give you this information in a way that's a lot more concise. It doesn't have all the fluff around it. It's going to get you back in a state every time, which is really the most important thing when it comes to manifesting. If it's not necessary, if you really don't need that extra encouragement and you're kind of just doing it out of the search of information, really try not to have too many voices in your ear, because that's how people start to get confused. Unless you're just like, you're seasoned, you just want to hear how other people see things, you want to try things and hear other people's perspective. That's kind of in the position that I'm in. But I'm not taking everything that people say as fact, right? Because we all are creating our own reality. It's malleable, right? It's subjective. The thing is that people are not testing and seeing like really what feels good. They're just taking what somebody else says because they said that it worked for them, and then they're taking it and expecting it to work the same way for them. And it might, but the thing is it might not. And that's okay. If you've been trying a method for a really long time and you're not seeing results and it's not making you feel good, it's okay to look somewhere else, to look to someone else, or to try something different. But if you're not being persistent, if you're wavering and you're not really putting the effort in that you know you need to be putting in, then that's the issue. And looking for more information or more people to tell you what you need to do is not what's going to help. You have the information you need, you're just not applying the knowledge. So that's another a really important thing is when you get the knowledge that you need from whatever source you get it from, you have to actually stick with it. The easiest way for me to do that is to have a mental diet. Mental diet for me is like the most important thing. Mental diet, staying in the state, and being sure. There are two surefire ways to get your manifestation: certainty and repetition. That's why people say affirm, 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 persist, persist, persist. If you have a lot of doubt and a lot of wavering, that's what's going to get you right. A mental diet and just affirming. And people talk a lot about resistance. For me, one, I affirm that resistance doesn't affect me, or resistance doesn't exist. I don't have any resistance to anything. I'm always in a state of flow. I'm always in a state of flux, and I'm always ready to step into the unknown to see what infinite intelligence has to bring me. If it's not something that doesn't make you feel good, if it's not something that makes you more anxious and it actually feels like it's helping, you can affirm straight through resistance. As long as you keep affirming and you stand firm, I promise you will be fine. You can persist through resistance. That's one way, just doing affirmations, just sticking to it no matter what. You just keep persisting until it happens. And you have to be honest with yourself, right? You're the one manifesting. You're the one that this is going to affect. Lying to other people and yourself about how good you've been on your manifestation game is not going to help anybody. It's definitely not going to help you. So you have to know, are my dominant thoughts in the right place? Have I been persisting? And am I actively aware of what my state is? Am I consciously keeping tabs on that, right? Because if you're just going about your day, you're like kind of affirming, but then like the second you stop affirming, you're back in the old story and you're like, you know, having negative thoughts. You're not really persisting, right? Your thoughts haven't really been in the right place. And that's how you get people talking about,
I've been manifesting my SP for 2 years and I keep persisting, I keep affirming, and they're still not here.
It's like, okay, you weren't persisting, you weren't affirming. Like, I know that you really think you were, but you weren't, because if you actually were, then you would have had it by now. And that just is the truth. And some people just don't want to hear the truth, but that is the truth. And that's really just that. We don't need to talk about how many repetitions it takes. It takes until you get your manifestation. That's it. Don't worry about how many times. You don't want to obsess, right? But you want to be focused. You want to be diligent. The second way is certainty, right? If you have absolute faith in the law, you don't even have to have faith in what you're manifesting, in yourself, anything, but that the law works. It obviously works. This is why getting into the science really helps me, because I understand that on a quantum level, literally everything is energy and anything can change in the blink of an eye. So I know that things are subject to change. My world is malleable, and the things that I'm seeing now are a product of my old thoughts. So if you are certain that, you know, I've been on my manifestation game, I know that I'm getting what I want because I said that I want it, and I said that it's already mine, and I've been in the state. Not that you're like waiting, like, I know it's gonna come, but like, what time is it gonna come, and like what day, and da-da-da. It's just like, I know it's gonna come eventually. It doesn't really matter what I do. I just know that eventually, by some series of events that I don't even have to worry about, it's gonna pan out. And then you're just certain in that. At that point, you don't really have to repeat if you're actually sure. Now, don't lie to yourself. If you're not sure, you need to be doing the affirmations, or you need to be visualizing or scripting or whatever fucking method, whatever method that you do. That is something that, like, well, it doesn't matter. You can pick any method you want. You can literally say,
I will wad up a paper towel at 12 o'clock midnight on the full moon and throw it at my ceiling fan 3 times and spin around 3 times upside down on my head, and I'm gonna manifest my desire.
Like, it really does not matter. It genuinely does not matter. You just need to pick something and stick with it. Certainty, repetition. That's it. Pick whatever method you want. Listen to whatever coach you want. Don't let anybody tell you that you're doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. Do whatever the fuck you want, but stick to it and know that you're gonna get what you want as long as you persist. Everything else that we add on top of it is like things. Sometimes we want to test things. Sometimes we want to try a different method, see if there's a more effortless or easier way that we can, you know, do whatever we're doing. Or sometimes we just hear somebody else try something, we just want to try it just for shits and giggles. Do whatever you want. Stop letting people tell you you're not doing the right thing. The only reason you should be listening to somebody telling you you're not doing something right is if you are dominantly in the old story. If you're dominantly in the old story, then you're gonna stay there. Please remember that dominance is 51%. That means half of your thoughts plus 1%. has to be in the right place. That's it. You do not have to be perfect to manifest. You do not have to be in the state 24/7. You do not have to affirm all day unless you would like to. You can affirm robotically. You can affirm when you wake up. You can affirm in sats. You can do, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, but just do it and stick with it until you get your manifestation. People always ask, how long do I have to affirm? When should I affirm? When should I do my visualization? What should I be in sats? Do I have to do this before I fall asleep? Should I listen to affirmations all night? I am gonna say something about this though. You don't need to listen to 8 hours of affirmations every night. That's a lot. And your subconscious mind, like your brain actually does need to rest and like recoup and do whatever the brain does when it's asleep, but our physical body actually does need rest. And when you have the affirmations going on all night, it doesn't really give your subconscious mind just like does need a break. So if you want to do the nighttime affirmations, put on a sleep timer. 2 hours is enough. That's like max. Or just however long it takes you to fall asleep, and then maybe plus 30 minutes. It does not need to be an all-night ordeal. Yeah, I did want to say that because it's just unnecessary. I'm not saying that they don't work, but it's just unnecessary, the whole 8 hours. This is supposed to be fun, and manifestation is a lifestyle. It's not just like, I'm gonna manifest this one thing and then I'm never gonna want to manifest anything again. Because once you start manifesting and start realizing that things are coming like this, like obviously you're gonna want to manifest more shit. And so go ahead and from the beginning, make it into a lifestyle. Find your method, find your coach or your book that you're gonna like have as your Bible or your safety blanket whenever you're wavering and you feel like you're in a time of need. Have that person that you go to, or have that book that you go to, or even if you're like making your own culmination of things that you've learned and you keep it in a notebook and you just write things for you to look at when you feel like you need a little pick-me-up, do that and just find a method and a system that feels good for you and that works for you and stick with it. Eventually you're gonna find your secret sauce, your secret formula, and that's not the same for everybody. No two people are gonna have the same experience, and so you really just do have to test it and see what works for you. But once you do that, once you put in that work initially, it's gonna make manifesting in the future so much easier, so much quicker, so much more effortless, and so much more fun. And this is supposed to be fun. You don't want to be like constantly stressed because you're manifesting. That's stupid. That's fucking stupid. Please live your life also. Like, this is not, as much as it is a lifestyle, you want to find a way to integrate it seamlessly to where it doesn't feel like it's draining you. If what you're doing to manifest feels like it's draining you, that's not the right method for you. I'm going to tell you right now. It's not. There's something that is easier. There's something that's more effortless. And sometimes my method is no method. And sometimes I switch it up. Like, if I feel like today I'm gonna script, then I'll script. If I feel like I'm gonna visualize today, then I'll visualize. If I feel like I'm not gonna do anything today, I'm just gonna live my life, then I'm just gonna live my life. And that it just is what it is. But tell yourself that you're doing what you need to do for you and that everything you do works. Simple. And then wipe your hands clean from it and please move on. No arguing. There doesn't need to be any arguing about whether this law is correct or this law or this coach or this book or anyway. I hope you can take something of value from this. I know it's a little bit all over the place. It's like my first video back after a while. Things will get obviously more streamlined as we go along, hopefully, or it'll just be chaos. I don't know. Sometimes my life is in a constant state of chaos and I kind of like it like that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you took something of value from it. And if there's anything else that you guys would like to see, anything you would like me to talk about, if you have any questions that I might be able to help you with, then just let me know in the comments. Obviously, I'm not an expert or anything, but I just have been through a lot and I've tried a lot of different things and I've listened to a lot of different people and I've accumulated a lot of different information. And instead of continuing to fill my noggin with those things, I figured it's time to share that with other people so people can benefit from my experience. And obviously I'll continue to grow and evolve just like you will. And I hope that we can do that side by side and together, like as a community, and not allow that to cause us to grow away from each other. I'm gonna hold you accountable. This time I'm looking at you when you don't persist. Okay, you're done. You're done.